All right, welcome, kings and queens. Today we are back and we are talking Love and Marriage Huntsville, season 7, episode 3, the show that you love. And also the show that you love to hate, honey. We are back, and I got a lot of things to say about this episode. There were some hits and there were some misses, and um, yeah, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. What do you think about this episode? What are your thoughts? Hmm. All right. Well, let me share some things that stood out to me. And I'm going to be going out of order, but I promise to do my best to cover the most important pieces of the episode. Now, I want to share something. Listen, every opportunity ain't worth exploring, especially if it's a one sided opportunity. I was just talking about this with a friend on yesterday. You got to watch opportunities and you got to really, really assess them and check under the hood and kick the tire. And if it's one sided, you got to be able to back out. Okay. You got to have a little bit of maturity. And the reason why I say that is if I were Kiki, I would leave the show effective immediately. I'm not sure if she realizes it or not, but Kiki, I feel like you are being used to keep Marcel and Letitia afloat this season. Okay. I also feel like you're being used to keep Tiffany somewhat afloat. Tiffany had a very slow start this season because she had just given birth. Um, and you were her storyline. A good portion of last season and then at the beginning of this season. Now, Kiki, here's my thing. There is no benefit in this for you. And I've looked at this thing from all angles. There is no benefit in this for you. And this is where true power, in my opinion, is displayed. When you recognize there's no honor in a thing and you toss it back to the sender, send it back. Maybe this started off as something that you could leverage and really, really utilize as a restart or a reset, but that's not happening in real time. So send it back. Walk away from it. Dust your feet off. Focus on the things that are important and get yourself together. That's what I would say to you as a close friend. That's what I would say to you as a family member. Fuck the fame, forget the television show, focus on you, get yourself together because it ain't worth it. And here's why I'm saying that. Your husband said a lot. He's extremely concerned for you. He explained to you and he walked you through some of the assumptions he's made based on history. And he's telling you that it's very challenging because in some instances, even he himself doesn't know what's going on with you. And he has made assumptions about you relapsing. So I said that to say, Kiki, baby, Kiki, yeah, your hardships are being exploited. I do not see this working out for you in the end. And in my opinion, it is going to tarnish your brand in the long run. That's what I got on that. Now, let's really get into the heart of the episode. In my opinion, this entire episode was about Lady Marcel, which is why I do not agree with the men having too much camera time on women's shows. And I know that's Carlos King's angle because he felt like that should have happened on The Real Housewives of Atlanta. And so as a result, he started to manipulate situations where Peter, what's Peter's last name? Shit, I forgot Peter's name, y'all. Cynthia's ex-husband. My brain just went blank. He started Peter Thompson. Peter Thomas, that's his name. He started manipulating scenes where Peter could be combative with the women, okay, on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. And as a result, I feel like this is a trend that you're really trying to start, Carlos, based on your personal opinion that men should be involved. Well, pump your brakes because it's not a good look, in my opinion. You have to keep in mind that Carlos King is an openly gay male who feels like, you know what, men should be involved. That's because it's safe for you to be involved. Carlos, you in some ways, you identify with women. But for a straight man to be all up in women's faces and telling women off and getting involved, Absolutely not. It's asinine. It's very, very disruptive, and it's aggressive. Okay. And that's where you have to have enough sense as a producer to say, you know what? Even though I get a good Kiki out of the boys reading the girls, sweetheart, that's not what we want. We don't want the boys in the girls' locker rooms. You get what I'm saying? It changes the dynamics of the entire show. It sets the wrong tone. And in my opinion, Marcel, I don't know why you signed up for this because the level of involvement that you've carved out or you volunteered for, Marcel, it's definitely chipped away at your masculinity. And Stormy was right. Hell, it's coming off as feminine and as a it's given lady boy. It's given lady boy. It very much so lady boy. There ain't no place, in my opinion, for a man in women's business unless he wants to be one of the girls. And my question to you, Marcel, is do you want to be one of the girls? Y'all, let's talk about it. For those of you who are just tuned in, or if you're new to the channel, welcome to the palace. I am Queen Sheba. I cover a variety of hot topics specific to reality television, but most importantly, I hone in on the psychological and the behavioral traits of the Black experience.
Subscribe now.
Before we get into it, let's talk about this catering event or this event coordinator. Y'all, I was meaning to mention this in my last review, but it slipped my mind completely. And I thought about it again at the beginning of this episode. Um, the tardiness of this setup is the main reason I don't fool with some Black businesses. Now, I said some, so pay close attention before you come in my comments saying, you said this. I said some, not all. Because if I pay you for a service, that's exactly what I expect, a service in return. I don't want you to be late. I don't want any excuses about why you were late. It is what it is. And this really irritated me that they were not set up. They were not ready to go when the cameras arrived because this could have been a great opportunity to promote their business on national television. And I was sitting there thinking, sweetheart, did you not know that you were being filmed today? Why would you risk such a great opportunity of having exposure to Huntsville residents and being seen on a television show? You could have viewed, there's a lot of people that could have been like, you know what? I want to use them. Who is that company? That was a beautiful setup. But the only thing that stands out is that y'all were late, real late. And yeah, I kind of feel like y'all fumbled the ball when it comes to creating a pipeline for new customers. You fumbled that. And y'all, we got to get better as a people. Don't nobody care because it was raining. Leave earlier. You knew you had this event, unless maybe I don't have the full details, unless Tiffany made a quick call to a friend because it said Tiffany's friend. And unless Tiffany made a quick call and was like, girl, can you help me? I need you to come today. And they were working like with a real quick turnaround. But other than that, there is literally no excuse for being that tardy and not having your shit in order when it's go time. Let this be a lesson moving forward I hope this is a lesson for them. I hope they're not the type of business or business people that have to learn so hard because you definitely don't want to make costly mistakes like that. But also to those of you that are tuned in, y'all, we got to get it together. We got to be ready to go on our stuff. Let me tell you a small story real quick. I like taking vacation during the first 2 weeks in January. While everybody else is off for Christmas, I work during Christmas and then I take the first 2 weeks off for the year. Well, when I came back this January, y'all, my inbox was loaded with emails. And there was one email in particular where a lady was expecting me to turn around a deliverable at the end of the day. Now, keep in mind, this is my first day back, and she wanted what she wanted at the end of the day. So I took it up on myself, and I remember complaining to my manager, my boss, that this is like unrealistic, her expectation of me having something done today, right? And this is my first time seeing it. She wanted done today. Another lady, not even. So I'm complaining to my boss. And she stops me in mid sentence and she says, "Don't nobody care?" And I said, "Huh? Excuse me?" She said, "Don't nobody care?" And in that moment, I learned a very, very valuable lesson to really, really keep the main thing the main thing. She said, "People are not concerned with your excuses when they're coming to you for answers, product, or services. They want an answer. They want what they want." And I completely revamped my attitude and I changed the way I showed up as a professional. At the end of the day, no excuses, get it done. All right, let's get into this conversation between the women. And before we go deep, I just want to say, Letitia, the amount of times and the capacity in which you have been late over the years, it's tacky and it's somewhat disruptive, in my opinion, as a business person, right? We're not going to even start just as a friend, as a person that's on the television show. You were late to a reunion where they had to extend their budget, extend their time, keep the production crew on set. Jalen couldn't talk. Girl, it's highly disruptive, and you really need to reel that in. You got to start working on that because being late can cause you to miss a lot of blessings. For those of you that are tuned in, do not miss a blessing because you was late somewhere. If you gonna miss a blessing, miss it because you missed it and it wasn't for you, but not because you were late. So after a few minutes of arriving late and then being there, once she settled in, Letitia wants to know, why y'all so quiet? Why is everybody so quiet? Were y'all not talking before I got here?" So Kimmy decides to bring her up to speed to let her know, "Yeah, we've been talking about the expo and we are thinking about getting a group together to debrief." Child, she was not having that. Immediately she said, "I don't need no feedback." I can't, y'all. I really can't. I can't. That's such a fear-based response and it's low vibrational, to be honest with you. Think along the lines of business. She and Marcel, they've been doing this. Remember all that shit they talk with Nell and Chris? We've been in this for years. And we don't mess with people that sell t-shirts. And me and Letitia, and we're professionals. But you can't take feedback. And that's why I say I can't with these fake storylines. I just can't. It's too much for me. But let me just give you, let me pick up. So she says, "We don't want feedback." Girl, you don't want feedback. If you are confident and if you know that you did your best, then you welcome feedback because it's an opportunity to be stretched. And it also gives you an additional opportunity to enhance whatever you're doing the next time, should there be a next time. Now, imagine being closed off to feedback, all of you that are listening, whatever you do for a living, whether you work for yourself, you work a corporate job. Imagine somebody coming to you to give you feedback and you say, "I don't need feedback. I just did that presentation. I ain't got time to hear all that." I wish you would. They would look at you like you're crazy, which is why I kind of feel like, Carlos, what are we doing with the Scots? Because the world that they live in their head is not real life, nor is it reality for any of us. It's just crazy and asinine. So it reminds me of people who want shortcuts to success. She don't want feedback because she don't want to get comfortable. Similar to people that want shortcuts to success. I don't want to have to work for it. If you got a shortcut, I'll take it. There are no shortcuts. There is consistency and there is hard work. And you have to have feedback to know if you are trending in the right direction. Only a fool would despise wisdom. That's why Letitia's a hard pill for me to swallow many times and more times than not. So Letitia, in my opinion, her and Kimmy have already talked about this, y'all, because Kimmy turns to Nell Fletcher and she said, "Oh, I heard you felt some kind of way." And why? First of all, that's why I'm not a huge fan of Kimmy. You already know what went down because you and Letitia have already had a gossip girl conversation about it. How would you know how Nell felt and what she had an issue with if Letitia hadn't already told you? But what you want to do is put on as if you don't know, but still giving away of little. So you caught yourself slipping. "Well, I heard you." Okay, then if you heard, you already know what she had an issue with, but you stirring the pot. So I think Kimmy, I don't care for Kimmy. Let me just say it. There we go. So don't be coming in my comments talking about you're biased against Kimmy. Sweetheart, I don't care for her. I don't know if we can label that as bias. I don't care for her. I'm sorry, I don't. And my I was I just made myself laugh. Like, I'm honest. I don't know if I'm biased. I'm gonna give you the real. I'm not sugarcoating who I'm for or who I against. I felt like I picked a side a long time ago. And if you're just catching on, um, maybe I just haven't talked about Kimmy enough for you to catch on. So I feel like Kimmy's a clever genius. She's the type of woman, in my opinion, that has mastered and finessed playing both sides. Kimmy is the type of woman that you'll fuck around and find out and get your feelings hurt. And what I mean by that, she's the type of girl that you'll think that's your friend, and you come to find out she don't really like you. She can't stand you. She prefers not to be around you, and she tolerates you. So I'm not a Kimmy fan because to me, Kimmy's tricky. She's like a joker in a deck of cards to me. I really don't like the way Letitia tried to shut Nell down. It was uncalled for, in my opinion. You showed up with completely different energy, and the energy that she had reminds me of the Galentine's Day event when she bursted in talking about, I heard you was looking for me, here I go. It was that same energy. Okay. A little bit tailored down and trimmed down for Nell, but it's the same energy. And remember last week I told you a dog that uses a dog when a dog plays, the energy reservoir that a dog uses to play is the same energy that they use to fight. Yeah, Letitia was on one when it came to Nell. You didn't have to push back that hard. You could have, girl, you could have shut that down in the most sophisticated manner. You could have said, you know what? I hear you. I thought I heard you the other night when we were at dinner. Yes, ladies, Nell and I did have a conversation about this. She told me how that made her feel when I did not invite her after promising that I would moving forward. Child, I'm going to make sure me and Nell good on that communication piece. But thank you, sis. I appreciate the feedback. Boom, done. One and done. In my opinion, what this showcased to me is your immaturity. Your immaturity as a woman. Yeah, I almost said something. Your immaturity as a woman. Uh, in the midst of this scene, the camera pans in on Tiffany, who's seated in the opposite side of a room in a section with her friends. And Tiffany says, well, I would be over there, but I'm feeding my baby. And by the way, why are they talking about this at my baby's event? Tiffany, they are talking about this at your event because your event would not be television worthy. Your event is boring. There, I said it. So they had to conjure up something, sweetheart, to make it worthwhile. Otherwise, why are we really here? That's how I would have been. Why are we here? My kids aren't here. I'm here to see your baby. I came, I went, I saw. Your catering, your event is late. Your shit is not set up. The food is subpar. Um, yeah, we can leave. So let's not try to act like why are they there? Because had it not been for them, I don't think this scene would have left the cutting room floor. In my opinion, y'all, and tell me what y'all think. Letitia, she can't square up without Marcel by her side or anybody by her side. She's not a one-on-one chick. She's the type that's going to fold under pressure. And I feel like she didn't want to talk about the event amongst this group of women, which is right, right. That's the right group to talk about it because y'all are all women. Hell, okay. So what if they say something you don't like? Take it as feedback. There's always a seed of opportunity in constructive criticism. But I don't feel like she had the skill set to take on that type of conversation. And she needed Marceau there to bully the women and shut them down on her behalf, which tells me a lot about you, Letitia. You are not innocent. You're actually a huge part of the problem. You and Marcel are not off limits. And I feel like you are. Now, production, that's on you because you've helped to protect them for quite some time. As a matter of fact, for many, many years, you've allowed them to skate by. and you've allowed them to curve any conversations or anything that got them upset or irritated or triggered. So if you don't want anyone talking about your marriage, and if they can't give you feedback about the Black Expo, maybe you should leave. Pack your bags and leave the show if you're off limits. If can't nobody talk about nothing in your life, but you can run your mouth about everybody else's challenges, everybody else's pitfalls, maybe it's time for you to go. But that's on production because you created that monster between Letitia and Marcel, which is why I believe you did create a secret deal. And Ariane said that in her recording, that he weaved different components in his contract, saying that Carlos and his producers could not make them talk about. Well, that's a shitty contract on your behalf, Carlos, because it's actually cheating you out of material and content as an executive producer, because you can find plenty other couples that would be more than willing to talk about what they have going on. Letitia and Marcel are not the if factor that you're trying to make them. I wish the producers are a little bit harder and harsher. Like on Bravo, hey, you gonna get back in there and run that scene, or you're not gonna get paid, or you're gonna get cut. And I hate that Stormy had to go get her, because I feel like the producers should have marched her ass right back in there to let her sit in a hot seat. Period. To make her sit in a hot seat. Um, I'm glad Nell is calling out Letitia on her crap. She ain't built for this. Listen, Letitia is not built for this. She crumbles under pressure. And I'm talking about the kind of pressure that should not be pressure. She's extremely emotionally charged in business discussions. Go back, rewind the tapes. Look at when they were discussing the expo. Look at some of the other. When you come up against her for hard questions, her and Marcel, they lose it. And only a liar loses it. When you're lying, when you're hiding something, or you don't want things to be found out. But when you're on the up and up, hey, come what may, ask me anything you like, and I'll do my best to answer. And for the answers I don't have in a moment, I will take offline and get back with you. How about that? So I do agree with Kimmy. There's no need for her to open her books to show them her profits or her margins or anything like that. However, I feel like Letitia has picked up manipulation tactics from Marcel. Be not deceived. Evil company corrupts good morals. You're around something or someone too long, you start to behave like them, including your spouse, your friends, and people that you don't really admire. You really don't like their character traits. Hang around them long enough, you start to behave like them. Now, let's talk about Lady Marcel and Mel. The scene between Melody and Marcel was epic, and there's going to be a continuation of it next week. And I look forward to her putting her red bottom on his neck. Okay. Mel set the stage to boss up on his ass by wearing the same t-shirts that he made fun of. A millimeter shirt. The millimeter, the shirts that you can't really come to think of, the shirts that you don't respect, Marcel. A millimeter. A millimeter that is what a Marcel ain't, what a Tisha wanna be, and what a Kimmy can't. What a Maurice likes and what a Marcel loves, because we know you're low-key millimeter. We know that. And what a Martel Holt can't get enough of. So don't play. Don't play behind no t-shirts. And then have the nerve enough to fix your mouth to say you feel like she's throwing shit on the wall to see what sticks. So what? It's sticking. Just like that lawsuit is about to stick. Be concerned with what's in your wallet, like Capital One, or what's not in your wallet. What's not in your wallet, okay? Because Melody snatched your lady girdle off your ass and left you looking stupid. And I'm starting to wonder if there's any potential or any likelihood that Marcel has delusional disorder, allegedly. Okay? Because the level of delusion is beyond this world. Not only on this show, when he engages with Tisha And when he next week when he engages with Martel, claiming that nobody helped him, he and Tisha got here alone, and his conversation with the Fletchers, lying. I'm starting to wonder if he may have been right, y'all. Let's back up a little bit. He may have been right when he said that he needed to go to Africa for his mental health. Now, I still don't believe he went by himself. I'm sure Martel can answer that question for us. Okay? But there may be some mental things there cuz he said there were some mental health issues on camera. I'm just wondering to what extent. But while you're laughing, be careful because the same thing that makes you laugh will also make you cry. Marcel, while you're laughing at Melody selling shirts, you and Letitia better be trying to figure out how many shirts you gonna need to sell before Zen Garden sends your ass to jail. It won't be so funny then, will it?